Hello and welcome to another episode of Raw Chatter. I am your host speaking, Vicky Midwood, and welcome if you've not been here before. I am the Human Health Optimizer, and I help you to feel and function better in your own skin so that you can have the life that you would like, not worrying about your health. So today I'm going to talk about sleep. This is a topic that I know many people will be interested in. It's something that I think is always popular, and it's something that, especially if you are a little bit older, you may have heard some rumors and some myths about sleep. So I want to talk about sleep in terms of just why it is so important and why we need to really get rid of this idea that sleep is a waste of time. You may have heard the quote, "I'll sleep when I'm dead," because you're too busy doing stuff. But here's the important thing. You'll enjoy the stuff that you do in a damn sight more if you allow yourself to get quality sleep. Now, I'm really talking about this coming from a space and a place of feeling that you are more in control, more efficient. So, for example, if you are a business owner, or if you are a leader, or if you're somebody who is just starting out on that road of being an entrepreneur, and you know that it's really important that you have the energy to do the stuff that you want to do, but you're also finding that potentially you're struggling to sleep, or you find that you can get to sleep, you can't stay asleep. And what I want us to look at is the correlation between stress and sleep. And stress is something that I think of stress a bit like electricity. You can't see it. You can't hold on to it. You can't smell it. You can't taste it. You can't touch it. But you know it's happening. And it's not always obvious. So I work with a lot of people who are business owners, and they are so used to being in a high state of stress most of the time that they're not necessarily even aware that stress is creating symptoms, because they are just so used to how it feels. And how does it feel to be consistently under stress? Well, you feel a little bit under par a lot of the time. You never quite feel like you're firing all cylinders for any length of time. You also maybe get joint aches and pains. You find that you are a bit forgetful, your focus is struggling, and you don't necessarily put this stuff down to stress. Often we find an excuse. Now, if you have somebody, for example, who has got ADHD, or if you're a woman who is going through perimenopause, then chances are you're going to blame both of those things and not necessarily recognize that it is stress. You don't necessarily feel stressed, and this is the problem. Some people feel overwhelmed and some people feel anxious, but those are two terms that we don't necessarily associate with stress, but they are both incredibly powerful stressors. If you're chasing your tail, if you are trying to do more than you can actually fit in a day, if you're feeling overwhelmed by your to-do list, these in and of themselves create a stress response in the body. And as I say, you can't necessarily feel it or taste it or touch it or hold on to it, but it's happening, and it's affecting how your cells function. It's affecting how your gut functions, and it will also affect your ability to remember things, your speed of decision making, and many other things too. So what I kind of want to help you to recognize is that stress and sleep kind of go hand in hand, and we need to get a handle on them both, because poor sleep and chronic stress don't just affect your health, they affect everything. They affect your relationships. They affect your ability to be feel like you're in charge and in control of your own life. What we do know is that people who are kind of business owners or in a position of leading or authority, and whether you're like a captain of a school team or just somebody who thinks and feels that they are usually very organized, if you suddenly find that you are less effective, that you're making decisions that you wouldn't normally make, there's a correlation there. So a Harvard Business Review in 2017 actually found that sleep-deprived leaders are rated as less ethical, less emotionally intelligent, and less effective by their teams. And just one night of poor sleep can reduce your focus by 32%, and it impairs the speed of decision making and your accuracy. And this is where you may find that you're missing little things. If you're reading a document, you may miss something because you are in such a state of sleep deprivation and stress. Some of the key things get overlooked. So if you're waking up tired or snappy or forgetful, it's not a character flaw, right? And you may think that it is. You're just in a bad mood or you're just being a bit irritable. And what I'm saying to you is no. It's a physiological signal. It's a sign that your brain is operating under stress and your sleep isn't doing what it's supposed to do. So what sleep actually does and how stress wrecks it. Let's have a little look at that because as I said, most people think that sleep is just rest and almost a waste of time. They also think that rest is a waste of time, and it's not, because if you are sleep deprived, then allowing yourself to get some deep rest, even if you're not actually falling asleep, is really, really important. Andrew Huberman talks about this on his podcast, so you may want to check out what he has to share on deep restorative rest, which is not sleep, but helps your body to do what it needs to do, because sleep is a biological process of repair, regulation, and reset, especially for your brain and your nervous system. And if that doesn't happen properly, then you're going to be operating from a place of depletion. And that means that, in simple terms, your hormones are going to not be working as they should. Poor sleep affects your hunger and full up hormones, which means that you are more likely to overeat if you are sleep deprived. You're likely to feel more hungry, and you will tend to go for foods that will elevate your blood glucose level, those quick fix energy foods, which means that you end up eating a lot of food and not necessarily recognizing that you're feeling any better or that you're full up. And this is where you can start to blame, again, midlife, for example, on you gaining weight. But actually, it's your poor sleep and it's your stress. It affects your melatonin levels. If you are scrolling on your phone late at night, if you are sending that last email at midnight because you can't rest until you've done it, then potentially you're not going to have a great night's sleep because it will affect your melatonin production. Do light blocking glasses help? Yes, it would appear that they do, but it's still, your brain is still working and in work mode when you should be relaxing and calming down and telling your body and giving your body and your nervous system the sign that, hey, we're in wind down mode now. It's time to start relaxing because we're going to be sleeping. And if you're not allowing yourself to do that, then the chances are you'll either have trouble falling off to sleep or you'll wake up in the night, potentially around 2 or 3 o'clock. One of the key things that sleep also helps to regulate are the very stress hormones, and cortisol being the main one. Now, just to help you to recognize, our hormones are designed to tell our body and our brain and our organs what to do and when to do it, and they work in conjunction. Nothing works in isolation, nothing works on its own. And I know you've been led to believe that the liver works like this and the heart works like that and the digestive system works like this. Everything works together. It works with the circadian rhythm, so with the light and dark of the day. It works with regularity, so if you eat on a regular basis, your meals more or less at the same time, your digestive system's probably going to be functioning better. If you get up and go to sleep at the same time each day, you will be working with your circadian rhythm, which is mega helpful. But if you are somebody who is under a lot of stress and you are often going to bed at various different times, and then maybe you don't work at weekends, so you go, oh, do you know what, I'll have a lie in. That's actually going to potentially do you more harm than good in terms of how you are functioning from a hormonal regulation and nervous system regulation point of view. And this is because your cortisol should be high in the morning. It should start to elevate around about 4 to 5 o'clock when it starts to get light. And as it gets darker towards the back end of the day, our cortisol should be depleting so that we can sleep well. And then what should happen is you get up feeling ready to go, ready to throw back the covers, because the cortisol is what helps you to get out of bed. And then you should be ready to fall asleep because your body is working with its natural circadian rhythms. But what happens is when you're stressed, if you've not been having good night's sleep, it flips what's going on with your cortisol, which means that your cortisol is elevated in the evening when you should be winding down. And then it's tanking in the morning, which means that you are going to struggle like crazy to get out of bed. And you will feel that you've not had a restorative night's sleep because of all of the stress hormones that are circulating around your system. The other thing that we've got to be really, really clear on is that your brain kind of needs a cleaning crew at night, right? You've been making decisions all day long. The body has been doing all kinds of things, and the brain is a part of the body. Mental health, physical health, emotional health, spiritual health, all connected, not separate, right? Which means that if you are exercising on a regular basis, if you're making a lot of decisions, if you've got a lot of toxins around, all of this stuff is getting into your whole body, including your brain, and your brain needs cleaning. Now, it has a specific system to do that. It's called the glymphatic system. And its job is to basically wash away toxins and stress byproducts and any metabolic waste, because don't forget, your brain uses up 25% of the daily energy that you require is just used by your brain. It also will clean up any early markers that we now know are linked to Alzheimer's. And if you're not getting deep quality sleep, that cleanup is not going to happen, which means you will wake up irritable and foggy and already behind, as before you've even begun the day. If you are stressed and if you're not sleeping well, you are going to, without a shadow of a doubt, affect the quality of deep sleep that you get. And it's in that deep sleep that your brain really does the important stuff. And that is the time when it basically processes your emotions, your stored memories, and it integrates what you've learned during the day. And this is often why you get told, or it gets recommended, that if you're revising, for example, for exams, and you record yourself with the notes, with the stuff that you need to remember, if you play it whilst you're going to sleep, this stuff will go in, because even though you are sleeping, the stuff that you can hear is going to go into your brain and it's going to integrate what you've learned. So the idea being that if you're playing this stuff, you will remember it when you get up. I don't know if that's true or not, to be quite honest, but my point is there's a massive process that goes on during REM sleep, which helps you to integrate what you've learned throughout the day. It works on processing emotions. And if that is not happening, if you're not getting that REM sleep, and ideally that's one of your sleep cycles, and just to remind you, or maybe you don't know, we ideally have 5 sleep cycles. So your sleep is in 90-minute cycles. We don't just go to sleep and that's it. It's kind of a flat line, right, all the way through the night. That's not how it works. We have cycles of sleep, and each cycle is around about 90 minutes each. And one of those 90-minute cycles should be REM sleep, right? And that is usually around about the middle. So it's usually around about cycle 3 or cycle 4 of those 5. Now, if you're not getting that quality REM sleep, you are going to be more reactive. You're going to be more irrational. You're going to be more emotional. You're probably going to be more irritable. You will definitely struggle to stay on one task. And often you'll kind of lose words or forget things, or you'll second guess yourself. Now, again, this is often put down, particularly by women, as being a sign of menopause. And again, sleep deprivation and menopause do go hand in hand, but it's not the menopause that is causing it. It is the poor sleep and the stress. So let me say that again. It's not menopause that is making you lose words or forget things or second guessing yourself. It is your stress levels and your poor sleep. It means that your nervous system gets stuck in fight or flight, and your prefrontal cortex, and that's the bit here that handles logic and decision making and self-regulation, kind of takes a back sleep when you are not sleeping well. And so this is why it's so important to understand that sleep isn't like a luxury, it's absolutely essential. It's not about energy. It's about your body resetting and literally recalibrating everything so that you can function and feel better. Now, often what I come across with the people that I work with who tend to be business owners and leaders is that they are stuck in this wired but tired loop. And maybe you can recognize that. Often students too, because you're burning the candle, as it were, at both ends. You're studying, you've got exams, or you've got projects, and you're also socializing probably till late at night, and you're not necessarily going to bed and getting up at the same time. So we get stuck in this kind of exhausted but cannot switch off loop. And this is where you can fall asleep, but you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning with your brain sort of buzzing away. Now, this is chronic stress. It's creating a stress response. And this is where we've got to help you to recognize that you can take control, but you need to really focus on the choices that you're making. Because when your nervous system is in fight or flight mode, your digestion is going to slow down or almost shut down completely at times, which means that the nutrients that you're eating, and I'm hoping that you are eating nutrient dense as opposed to just calorie dense food, but if you're not sleeping well, you're probably going for the calorie dense food. But any nutrients that you are eating are not going to be absorbed so well if your digestion is slow. You're also going to find that you'll crave quick energy, so caffeine, sugar, processed carbs, and this creates an inflammatory response. Now, when you've got inflammation going on, that exacerbates any kind of brain fog. It also can lead to aching muscles and headaches and joint pains. Inflammation is the precursor to so many things. And if weight is an issue for you, when inflammation is in, fat burning is out. So you can be stressing yourself, for example, that you're following a calorie restriction diet and maybe you're exercising and you're doing all the right things. But if you're stressed and you're not sleeping, your body ain't going to drop fat. It's the last thing it's going to do because you're not ticking the boxes for a calm, regulated nervous system. And you're not ticking the boxes for your digestion to be absolutely able to absorb and assimilate those good nutrients that you're giving it, which means that fat burning is going to be minimal, if at all. And then you stress yourself out because you're not getting the results from all of the effort that you're putting in. And so the cycle continues. Your whole system starts to compensate and it shows up as cravings and exhaustion and overwhelm. So to reverse it, what do we do? Well, here's the thing. You're not going to completely reverse it just like that. I'd love to tell you can, but you have to literally make a conscious choice to start recognizing that if you want to restore kind of your foundations, your baseline, you have got to start with sleep and you've got to start with stress. And that means that you have to look at what you're doing on a daily basis. A good night's sleep starts with a good morning. So aim to get up as close to the same time every day, yes, even at weekends, as you can. Get outside in early morning natural light. Does it have to be sunny? Well, if you're living in the UK, good luck with that. But no, just natural light is important. Obviously, it's light at different times depending on the season, but get out within an hour if you can of getting up and get into natural light for 10 minutes, ideally with your skin exposed, so that your body can actually take in and absorb any vitamin D that is coming through. And yes, it does come through the clouds, and no, you don't need sunscreen on for that early morning sunlight. You will be fine. It anchors your circadian rhythm better than any kind of supplement or hack that you may try and go for. And just an aside, right? Hacks are fine, and I understand why we choose to go down that road of using things to help us, but get the foundations in place first. Get up, make it a habit that you get outside in natural light as soon as you possibly can, just for 10 minutes. And that's a really good time to, in your head, set your intentions for the day, set the 3 most important priority tasks that you have to do. And this is the other thing. Try and focus on moving your body if possible as well. So for some people, that is going to be within that same time slot. And it may be that you go for a walk, and that is how easy and simple it can be. You get outside, you go for a walk in natural sunlight for 10 minutes. And during that time, you can be saying your gratitude, setting your intentions for the day, and done. It doesn't have to take a long time. Moving your body is crucial, especially if you know that you are hanging on to stress. Just movement helps your body to get rid of a lot of that cortisol. And one of the best ways is, again, to walk. Walk after meals, and you're going to kill two birds with one stone. If you walk after meals, it's going to help you to reduce your blood glucose from the meal, which is great. It's also going to help your digestion, which is also great. But also, it will improve your sleep quality. So actually, it's three things. Just going for a 10 to 15 minutes is better. Walk after lunch. And ideally, if you can, after all of your meals. But if you can only manage one, that's a bloody great start. Excuse my French. Don't know why that word popped out, but it did. Apologies if you don't like swearing. So the other thing that you need to also do is wind down in the evening. Right? And that means stop taking your phone to bed with you. It is not your bed partner. Okay. Put your phone in another room, leave it, and try and have 20 to 30 minutes just phone free. A proper a real book, for example, in bed. Or if you do have to listen to something, maybe you can listen to the radio, or maybe you can play something on a device where you're not staring at it, where you can put it into a black screen and you can just maybe listen to an audiobook or a guided meditation. But you need to wind down. Now, in an ideal world, everybody's going to say 30 to 90 minutes, right? Start by just getting out of the habit, if you are in the habit of being on your phone last thing at night, because that's going to make a massive difference to the quality of sleep. We know now there's so much evidence been kind of reported. There's many studies being done that show very clearly that your brain lights up on fire when you are scrolling things like TikTok or YouTube shorts just before you go to bed, and your brain is not going to calm down and relax, and you are not going to go straight to sleep. If you are physically tired and you're doing that, you may go straight to sleep, but you will wake up, right? And it will affect that cortisol response, which means that your cortisol will be low in the morning when it should be high to get you out of bed. In other words, if you're scrolling late at night on your phone, you will not want to get out of bed, right? And this is what happens often to a lot of teenagers, and parents don't realize that there is the effect of you scrolling late at night or being on your phone just in general, whether it's emails, whether you're watching stuff. But it's usually the short things that you're consistently having your attention pulled onto the next and to the next and the next. So just make it a rule that you cut off from work and you cut off from your phone at a certain time. And over time, just make that chunk of time a little bit longer if you can. So those are the things that I'm going to recommend that you do. But also, while you're doing your wind down, what a perfect time to practice just some breath work, right? Really simple stuff. If you breathe in for 4 counts, but breathe out longer, say for 6 counts or even 8 counts, so double the breath out to the breath in. It's a really quick way of helping your nervous system to relax. And if you're in bed and you're just focusing on breathing in for 4 and breathing out for 8 and allowing your body to almost sink into the mattress, you're going to feel that you can relax. And if your muscles and your connective tissue can relax, knowing that you're supported by the surface that you're on, it's going to help you to get into that phase of rest and digest, which is what we want to be in when we're sleeping. So just as a quick recap, folks, sleep is not a luxury. It is essential. It is physiologically vital for your brain function. And if you have to be somebody who is functioning on all cylinders and a high-performing individual, then you want your brain to be working well. Stress will affect your sleep, and the quality of your sleep is important. So managing your stress levels, or better off looking at ways that you can start to create little pockets where you can switch off and focus on bringing your nervous system back into some kind of regulation, is what you need to be doing. Get outside first thing if you can within the first hour in natural light. Try and move your body. If you are very stressed, the more movement you can do, the better. Simplify it. Go for a walk after lunch for 15 minutes. Every meal if you can, and if you can do something else in terms of movement and exercise through the day, go for it. And then wind down at night. Allow yourself the time and the space, because see great sleep as a project that you're trying to get better at. Because the more you get better at a great sleep, the better you will feel and function. And if you want any help with your sleep, then please do reach out. Folks, if you're new to this and you like what you've heard, give me a thumbs up. Please do subscribe. If you think this is helpful to somebody that you know, I would love you to send them this episode and get them to also give me a thumbs up, a like, and subscribe. And I'm going to leave you with this, as I always do. We only have one life and one body, as far as we know. So look after it, because it is looking after you. Until next time. Bye-bye.